2 weeks ago, something snapped inside me, and once it broke, I couldn't put it back together. I've been with Jasmine for 2 years. We lived together, split bills, planned futures in half-jokes that slowly started sounding real. I thought we were solid. I thought we were a team. I work in tech sales, and last month, after grinding non-stop, missing weekends, chasing quotas that felt impossible, I finally got promoted to senior account manager. Big raise, real stability, the kind of win that changes your life. When my boss told me, my hands were shaking. I didn't even celebrate with my coworkers at first. I pulled out my phone and texted Jasmine immediately. I got it. I got promoted. I told her I wanted to take her to her favorite steakhouse that night. I imagined her smile, her excitement, the way she'd say she always believed in me. Instead, her reply came back cold, short, distant. I can't. It's Jessica's birthday party. I stared at the screen. She'd mentioned it once in passing, but this was different. This was life-changing. I asked if she could come late, just show up, just be there. That's when her tone changed. She called me selfish. She said birthdays only happen once a year. She said my promotion could be celebrated any time. That word, selfish, hit harder than I expected. I swallowed it. I didn't want to fight on what should have been the best day of my career, so I told her it was fine. I went out drinking with coworkers instead, pretending the emptiness in my chest was just stress. Around 10:45 p.m., I left the pub near my office. The street was quiet. The light turned green. I took a step off the curb. That's all I remember. The sound came first. Metal screaming. Then nothing. Total black. I woke up on cold pavement. People shouting. Lights flashing. My leg was twisted wrong. Wrong in a way your brain instantly understands is bad. My ribs felt like they were on fire every time I tried to breathe. Blood ran down the side of my face. Someone kept telling me not to move. The ambulance ride blurred together. Sirens, pain, panic. At the hospital, doctors told me I had a fractured tibia and 3 broken ribs. Surgery in the morning. Stable but barely. Lying there in the ER, scared and shaking, there was only one person I wanted. I called Jasmine. It was close to 11 p.m. When she answered, I said the words slowly, carefully. I've been hit by a car. I'm in the hospital. There was a long pause. Too long. She asked how bad it was. I told her. I asked her to come. I needed her. She sighed. Then she said it would be weird to leave because everyone was there. She said they were doing karaoke. She said she'd already paid for bottle service. Then she told me to sleep it off, or call my mom, and she hung up. I stared at my phone, waiting for it to ring back. It didn't. In that moment, lying broken under fluorescent lights, I felt something colder than fear settle into my chest, something quiet, something final. A nurse noticed my hands shaking and asked if there was someone else she could call. My throat tightened as I nodded. I ended up calling my mom, who lives states away, and then my friend Dave. My mom cried on the phone, helpless and terrified. Dave didn't say much, he just said, "I'm on my way." He showed up within an hour, sat beside my bed, cracked stupid jokes to keep me awake, stayed when the pain meds wore off and the fear came rushing back. He didn't have to ask what I needed, he was just there. Around midnight, while I lay in a hospital bed staring at the ceiling, my phone buzzed again. For half a second, my heart jumped. Then I saw it wasn't a call. It was a notification. Jasmine had posted an Instagram story. She was smiling, drink in hand, music blaring behind her, glitter lights, laughing faces. The caption talked about priorities and girls' night energy. The timestamp hit me like a punch. She posted it minutes after I called her from the hospital. Dave saw my face change. I didn't even have to show him. He already knew. He just shook his head slowly and muttered, "Man, that's brutal." By morning, word spread fast. The accident happened right outside our office building, so people at work already knew. Flowers started arriving, messages poured in, co-workers checked on me constantly, and they saw the post. Everyone did. I went into surgery later that day. As they wheeled me down the hall, Dave walked beside me until the doors closed. He was the last face I saw before the anesthesia took over. When I woke up, groggy and sore, the first thing I did was check my phone. Still nothing from Jasmine. No missed calls, no texts, just silence. She finally messaged me that afternoon. Casual, almost lazy. "Hey, did surgery go okay? When are you coming home?" No apology, no explanation, no "I'm sorry I wasn't there." That's when the fog started to lift. Memories I'd buried began lining up in my head like evidence. My MBA graduation dinner she skipped for a wine tasting. My grandfather's funeral she left early because she was emotionally drained. My big job interview she missed for brunch with friends. Every time something mattered to me, there was always something that mattered more to her. I was discharged a few days later. Jasmine picked me up from the hospital, annoyed about parking fees and how she had to leave work early. The entire drive home she complained while I sat there on pain meds, gripping my crutches, trying not to scream every time the car hit a bump. At home, recovery was lonely. Her version of support was leaving food on the counter and disappearing for hours because staying in was bad for her mental health. I struggled to shower, to sleep, to stand. She struggled with being inconvenienced. One night, unable to sleep, I started writing things down. Every time I showed up for her, every time she didn't show up for me. The list wasn't even close, and once I saw the pattern, I couldn't unsee it. The turning point didn't come from a fight. It came from whispers, from looks that lingered a second too long, from co-workers lowering their voices when I entered the room. A colleague finally sat beside my desk and said, "Hey, I hope this isn't out of line, but are you okay? After everything?" That's when I found out. Jasmine's Instagram story was circulating at work. People had noticed the timestamp. They knew exactly when I'd been rushed to the hospital. To them, it didn't look careless. It looked cruel. Jasmine, meanwhile, had no idea. She complained one night that people at my office seemed cold toward her. She said she felt judged. I almost laughed. Almost. That night, lying awake with my leg propped up and ribs aching, I made the decision. Not out of anger. Out of clarity. I called Dave and asked him a simple question. "Can you help me move?" He didn't hesitate. I found a small apartment close to work. Nothing fancy, quiet, clean, mine. I planned everything silently. I didn't argue. I didn't threaten. I just prepared. While Jasmine was at yoga, Dave and a few friends came over. They packed my clothes, my books, the things that were actually mine. Every item I put in a box felt like I was pulling myself back together piece by piece. Before I left, I wrote a short note and placed it on the counter. "I needed you once, really needed you, and you chose someone else." That told me everything. Then I walked out. I turned off my phone. When I turned it back on hours later, it exploded. Dozens of missed calls, messages jumping from confusion to anger to guilt to desperation. She accused me of overreacting, then begged, then promised to change. I didn't reply. I blocked her. But the fallout didn't stop. Jasmine started showing up at friends' places, crying, trying to control the narrative. The problem was, most people already knew the truth. Even Jessica reached out to me. She said Jasmine never told her about the accident. She said if she'd known, she would have dragged Jasmine out of that party herself. That's when the social tide turned. Her reputation started cracking, slowly, publicly. People saw her differently now, not because I told them anything, but because her own choices finally caught up with her. Then one evening, there was a knock at my door. It was Jasmine, eyes red, voice shaking, apologies spilling out like they'd been rehearsed. She said she could change. She said she loved me. But even then, she never asked how I was feeling. I pointed that out. She froze, couldn't answer. I told her she taught me the difference between someone who loves you and someone who's just comfortable with you being around. Then I closed the door. For the first time in a long time, I felt lighter. About a week later, she came back. This time, no tears at first, just a small care package in her hands and a quiet request. "Can I have 5 minutes?" Against my better judgment, I listened. She said she'd been thinking non-stop. She admitted she always put other people first because she was terrified of disappointing them. She said she took me for granted because I was safe, because I always forgave her. For the first time, her apology didn't feel defensive. It felt real. But real apologies don't erase patterns. I asked her one question, calm, simple. Name a single time you chose me when it actually mattered. She opened her mouth, closed it, tried again. Then her eyes dropped to the floor. Silence answered for her. I told her I couldn't be with someone who needed to learn that lesson at my expense. That love without priority isn't love, it's convenience. 2 years ended right there, not with screaming, but with understanding that came too late. After she left, I sat alone in my apartment, leg elevated, ribs aching, and felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. Now I'm healing. Physical therapy 3 times a week, back at work stronger than ever, reconnecting with friends I didn't even realize I'd been losing. I'm sad it ended this way, but I'm not regretful. Some relationships cost too much. The price of being loved should never be the sacrifice of your own well-being. Sometimes losing someone is the only way to finally find your own worth. This is Echoes of Revenge, and this was the moment I closed the account on a relationship that was draining me dry. 2 weeks ago, I thought I had everything figured out, a stable relationship, a shared life, a future that felt secure. But it took one moment of crisis to expose the truth I'd been avoiding for years. Love isn't proven in comfort or routine. It's proven in emergencies, in sacrifice, in who shows up when walking away would be easier. Jasmine didn't cheat. She didn't scream or betray me in obvious ways. She did something quieter, and sometimes that's worse. She chose herself, again and again, while I kept choosing us. Walking away wasn't revenge in the traditional sense. It was reclaiming my dignity. It was choosing myself for the first time. Healing hasn't been easy, but it's been honest. And honesty feels lighter than denial ever did. If this story hit close to home, remember this. Love without priority isn't love. It's convenience. And no relationship is worth losing yourself. This is Echoes of Revenge. Now tell me, have you ever stayed with someone who only realized your value after they lost you? If this story resonated with you, like the video, subscribe for more real stories of betrayal, awakening, and quiet revenge. And share your experience in the comments. Your story might help someone else finally choose themselves.